Have you ever really stopped to think about what you're made of? I mean, if we could zoom way, way in, past the skin, past the cells, what are the fundamental pieces? Well, today we're going to break it all down using an analogy pretty much everyone gets, Legos. We're going to see how these simple little pieces build the unbelievable complexity that is you.
So yeah, what are you really made of? It's such a simple question, but the answer is just beautifully complex. We're about to dive into the 4 essential molecular kits that nature uses to build literally everything, from a tiny bacterium to a massive blue whale.
Okay, first things first, we have to understand the basic piece. In biochemistry, we call this a monomer. The easiest way to think about it, it's one single individual Lego block. It's simple, it's repeatable, and by itself, it's really just a starting point. Now, what happens when you start clicking those monomers together? You get a polymer. This is your finished Lego model, a long, complex structure built from all those simple, repeating units. And this whole process of building polymers is how life creates its most important large molecules, which, you guessed it, we call macromolecules. So how does a cell actually connect and disconnect these molecular Legos? Well, it uses water in 2 really clever ways. To build a polymer, it uses something called dehydration synthesis. It literally removes a water molecule to lock in a new bond. And to break a polymer back down into its pieces, it does the complete opposite, hydrolysis. It adds a water molecule to snap a bond. It's an incredibly simple and universal system.
All right, now that we know the basic rules of construction, let's meet the 4 master builds, the big-time macromolecules that are the foundation for all life as we know it.
And here they are: carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. Think of this table as our roadmap. Each one has its own unique Lego piece and a very specific set of jobs inside the cell. You might notice lipids are kinda the odd one out. They're not true polymers. Don't worry, we'll get to why in just a minute.
Our first master build is carbohydrates. You know these as carbs. If your body was a car, carbs would be the gasoline, the quick, easy-to-access fuel. But they're also kind of like the car's frame, providing really important physical structure.
The single Lego block for carbs is a simple sugar, a monosaccharide. Glucose is the famous one. Now when you string a whole bunch of these together, you get complex polysaccharides. This is what makes complex carbs in pasta so different from a spoonful of sugar. In us animals, we store it as glycogen for a quick energy reserve. In plants, it builds cellulose, the stuff that makes plants sturdy. So you get both fuel and structure from the same type of block. Pretty cool.
Next up, we've got lipids. You probably know them as fats, oils, and waxes. And like we said, they aren't true polymers with identical repeating units, but they are absolutely essential macromolecules. Think of them as the masters of long-term energy storage and, maybe most importantly, the builders of the walls around our cells.
Lipids are a super diverse bunch. You've got fats for long-term energy, phospholipids that create the membrane around every single one of your cells, and even steroids like cholesterol that act as powerful messengers. Let's be clear, without lipids, we just wouldn't have cells, period. Okay, let's move on to the cell's hard drive, the nucleic acids. This is it. This is where all the instructions for how to build and operate a living thing are stored. It's literally the blueprint for life itself. The monomer here, the single Lego, is a nucleotide. When you link millions of these together, you get the polymers we've all heard of: DNA, the master blueprint that's kept super safe, and RNA, which is like the working copy that carries the instructions out to the job site. Their entire game is just information storage and transfer.
And that brings us to our final and maybe the most fascinating master build: proteins. Look, if nucleic acids are the blueprints, then proteins are the workers, the machines, and even the buildings themselves. They do just about everything in the cell.
And because proteins are so incredibly important, we're going to put them right in the spotlight. We're going to see exactly how their structure is tied to their function using a really powerful example: the protein switch. Check out this quote from Francis Crick, one of the guys who discovered the structure of DNA. What he's saying here is just mind-blowing. All the incredible diversity of proteins on planet Earth, it's all built from a universal toolkit of just 20 types of Legos called amino acids. The exact same 20 blocks build the proteins in you, in a mushroom, and in a bacterium. Now, the specific order of these amino acids forces a protein to fold up into a unique 3D shape. And here's the absolute key to everything. In biology, that 3D shape
is everything. It defines what the protein does, which means even a tiny little change to a protein structure can have a massive, massive impact on its job. So let's look at a key player in this whole system, the protein kinase. It's an enzyme, which just means it's a protein that speeds up reactions. And its main job? To act like a molecular on-off switch for other proteins. It flips that switch by sticking a little chemical tag called a phosphate group onto another protein, which can turn it on or off.
So you can see how it works here. First, a signal arrives from outside the cell. That signal wakes up a specific kind of switch called a tyrosine kinase. That activated kinase then hunts down another protein and bam, it slaps that phosphate tag right onto it. That one little addition flips the switch, changing the target protein's shape and turning it on, which then kicks off a whole chain reaction inside the cell.
And this is so much more than just a cool molecular trick. This whole on-off switch thing is fundamental to how you stay alive. It controls things as important as when your cells should grow and divide, or when your immune system needs to jump into action. This is life, happening in real time at the molecular scale.
Okay, so let's zoom back out. We've seen the individual Legos, and we've put one incredible build under the microscope. Now, let's put it all together and just take in the big picture.
And here it is, your whole molecular toolkit. Nice and simple. You've got carbohydrates for your quick energy, lipids for your long-term fuel and all those protective walls, proteins are the machines, the workers getting everything done, and nucleic acids, they're the irreplaceable blueprint holding all the instructions.
Which really just leaves us with this one final amazing thought. Nature uses just these 4 basic kinds of molecular Legos. The real magic isn't in the pieces themselves. It's in the nearly infinite ways they can be combined to create the absolutely staggering diversity and complexity of all life on Earth. It's a design of breathtaking elegance.